So what we're going to do in this video, we're going to take some of the CSV files that we downloaded from the Fantasy Premier League site in the last video, and we're going to look at how we can load them in to Power BI. So we're going to bring some data into Power BI in effect. Nice and simple, nice and easy, nothing too complex in this video. So I'm going to head on over to Power BI Desktop. So here it is, right? And I'm just going to save this so I can make saving it easier a little bit later on. So I'm gonna pop this into I'm gonna put it into my OneDrive, and I've got a PHIT Football folder in here. I'm just gonna pop it in there for the time being. There it is, PHIT Football, and I'm gonna call this load data. All right, so I'm gonna call load FPL data. I'm not gonna do any transformations with that yet. We'll save that for another video. All right, so I'm going to hit the get data option, and it gives us the most common data sources here. Now, as you know from the previous video, I pumped all the FPL data into a CSV file. So I'm going to choose that option. With PowerShell, you can connect to loads of different data sources, whether it's a relational database, SQL Server, Oracle, a CSV file, whether it's a non-SQL database like Cosmos DB or MongoDB, and connect to those. You can connect to Dataverses. Literally any data source you can probably connect to in here. Right, now my football data is stored, it's actually stored on a Google Drive, so we're going to jump around a little bit here. So I'm going to go into my Google Drive, and I've got a folder here called FPL underscore FPL. So let's just find that. There he is, double click on him. And then I'm going to select my PHIT Football folder, and then I've got the fixtures, my team, and the player data. Right, I'm going to bring the player data in first, so I'm just going to click on open, and then it'll open up Power Query for me. So on this sort of player data CSV file, we've got the file origin, what's the delimiter for the file, and it's going to choose data types based on the first 200 rows. You can say based on the entire data set if you want to, or don't detect any data types. I'm going to let it just do it off the first 200 rows, and it gives you a sample here. So you can see it's bringing in the playing data, so chances of playing Rex now, game shots this week. All these are 0 because the season hasn't started yet. But there is some of last year's data in there too, so there's various penalty misses and bonus points and influence and creativity and all those types of things. Right? So I'm not going to do anything with that yet. I'm just going to hit load. Right, and this will bring in this data for me. I'm going to go away and transform it in another video. Now, in fairness, you might want to not load the data until you've done the transformation, depending on the state of the data. And you can see that this is now loading in this data. I'm going to transform it after. It's probably wise to maybe do the transformation as you're loading it in. For this case, though, I'm not going to worry about that. So you can see there on the right hand side in our fields, we've now got player data. Now I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to hit transform data. This will take us into Power Query, and I'm just going to pop this on the screen so you can all see it. Let's just drag this across, and you can now see the data in Power Query. So I've got one query here, it's called player data, and it's changed a couple of data types, and there's various different player codes in here, chances of playing next round, all these types of columns. Now we'll look at tidying some of these up and performing some transformations in here as we go. All right. Because it's sort of first name and in dream team and other things, shoulder injuries for Marcus Rashford and all those types of things. His second name is in here, how many people have selected them, kind of a key point. All right, lots of other things in here that we're going to look at. Now, a lot of this data we're going to want to keep. Some of it we might clear out. Okay. Gives the ranking of the set piece taking, all quite useful stuff. Right, now I'm just going to choose a new source here. All right, so I'm going to bring in the other two files as well. So I'm going to click text and CSV, and then I'm going to choose my side. So I'm going to say my auto pick side. This will give us a similar screen as before. All right, small amount of data in. This is just my starting team. There's only a small number of rows, so we'll click on OK on that. I just brought in my auto pick side, and then lastly I'm just going to pull in the fixtures. So text CSV there, and then my 2021-2022 fixtures, I'll call those in too. Okay, based on the first 200 rows, there's lots of other table in there. I'm quite happy with that. I'm going to click on OK. And it should bring in the fixtures for me. So with those 3 CSV files now loaded into Power Query, I'm going to stop there and I'm going to work out what transformations I want to do to this data before I load it into my model properly. So don't forget, join our league. I'll leave the league code in the comments below this video, and it will be in the blog post as well. And don't forget to subscribe so you can keep up to date with the latest videos as they're released. And I'll be back next time with some transformations in Power Query.